of all I'm setting what it's going to eat in the game, whether it's going to be a carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore. I'll give it a little bit larger. I'm going to make it narrow and make it a little shorter as well. There we go. Really with these editors, what I wanted is I wanted in a few simple clicks for the average player to roughly be able to replicate what it takes a Pixar artist weeks of work to do. So in about a minute, I have a fully modeled creature here. And now I might want to take it into the paint phase. Now typically, you know, in any type of computer-generated characters, it takes a texture artist maybe a couple days to paint and texture a creature like this. But we basically taught the computer to do that as well. All I have to do as the player is pick a color, and then each one of these represents a different procedural texture script that understands things like, you know, where the light's coming from, where the back is, how it should be shaded, how stripes should flow down limbs and onto parts. And so they run in a few milliseconds, you know, replacing what a texture artist would take, you know, several days to do. Now I've basically picked a base layer here. I can also overlay these things. I can say on top of that base layer, I want to do some stripes. And so these are different algorithms for different stripe patterns that are mapped to the creature. And I can kind of get to those pretty rapidly. And again, you know, in a few clicks and about a minute, you know, I've got a fully textured, fully modeled creature. Now the next phase is really the harder one, is now we have to bring this thing to life. We have to animate it. So in the test mode, the computer will analyze this creature, look at what I built, and no matter what I build, it shows me how the thing would move around the world and behave and act. How it might sound. How it fights. Play. And even have emotional reaction. That's sad. So we want the players to have just a tremendous diversity from a 3D color printer. And so they came out like that out of the printer, all colored and modeled. And it's like living in the future. It's like our having a replicator. It's really cool. Everybody should have one. We're going to pop back out here now. So these creatures you're actually going to use in the evolution game. Now there's never really been a good game about evolution because all the evolution games you have these preset paths that you can go down through evolution. There's never been truly open-ended with what you can design. So I think having an editor like this was a prerequisite for having a decent evolution game. Now I'm playing one individual in this game. This is my guy. He's kind of goofy looking. And I'm controlling him directly with the mouse or keyboard. And I can control him third person or first person. And in this part of the game, what I really want to do is walk around and get some food to eat, because I can earn DNA points from that. Okay, that's not food. I'm going to find something like food. Oh, these look like food. Let's go for one of these little guys. Yeah. And by earning food points, I can actually spin that in the editor later. Now these guys aren't very large or strong, and you don't actually have to be. These guys are compensating by being social, so they're coming to each other as rescue. And there's so many of them, they'll probably not be able to take those out, so I need to find something else that's a little bit easier. It's probably not those guys either. Yeah, those are mean carnivores. I'm going to run out of this forest here, out onto the open plains. If I'm really fast, I might be able to get a bite of this egg. These are herbivores. They won't eat me, but they'll try to protect their nest. And yeah, that one's getting kind of mad right now. I got some DNA points, yeah, and he's really pissed at me. So let's run away from these guys. I control the socialization of my species by interacting with them. I have a kind of lazy species right now. But you can try talking to them. Now, what the hearts is actually ready to make. So I can click on her, or it, or whatever it is, and start the mating sequence. Now we have fully procedural mating. No two creatures will mate the same, and we have no idea how they're going to rate this at the SRB. Now, as I said, we're playing through every generation of our creature from a single cell all the way to intelligence, collecting points that we earn during one lifespan that we spend in the engine to improve our creature. So here we have our nest. And now we have to protect the nest while the eggs hatch from things like carnivores or scavengers. Some of the scavengers coming in. Eggs. Chase them off. Okay, now the eggs are ready to hatch. So I can click on the eggs. When I click on the eggs, they actually bring me back into the editor. And I can take the points that I've earned during that generation and reinvest them in my creature's evolution. So I'm going to buy some better feet, because I want my creature to go a little faster. And I'm going to buy him an extra set of arms, because you can never have too many arms. And These will be useful in the tribal phase later if I put some graspers on the end, so I'll buy them some hands here. Yeah, what's that? And some of the things I'll do in the editor are more aesthetic. So this creature looks kind of goofy, and I think it's primarily these goofy eyes. So I'm going to pull those off and put on something a little bit more serious. It's amazing how just a few little changes in the editor can make your picture seem totally different. Now, some players are going to spend a lot of time in these editors. We noticed with The Sims that about 10% of our players would just spend hours making cool things. But it benefited the other 90% because they were able to download those things into the world if they were to go to the fan sites and download them. But even then, there was a lot of friction around it. So with Spore, we're trying to connect those two dots. So the people that spend a lot of time in these editors making really cool stuff automatically goes up to the server, gets sorted out as the best stuff, and redistributed to everybody else. So we're trying to take the benefit of that creativity and redistribute it to everyone. So here in the editor, I've designed the adult version of my creature. When I come back into the game, I'm actually going to be born as the baby version. So here is my baby right here. You can see it's an exaggerated version. It's got a larger head. It's called a neonatal algorithm on the creature. I can have my siblings interact here and play together. As they interact, I'll actually cause them to become more social. And this is kind of like the friendship game in The Sims. So as we play together, they'll start bonding. And they'll start following me around and mimicking me. And this is useful because later on we can take on larger creatures as a pack, kind of like those little things in the forest we're doing. So I'm going to socialize a bit with my friends here. And then in doing that, they'll follow me around and mimic what I do. Okay, now I'll see if I can get them to follow me a bit. Here they come. Come on, guys. You can make it. The babies are very bunches, actually. So now I might take the babies over here. You know, maybe we want to go annoy the neighbors. So we'll run over here. Run into herbivores. We can't get too close though, because they're not going to kick our butt. Yes. Can't catch me. Anyway, we're going to jump out of this phase. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here. And tools and buildings and things here were all designed in the editor, either by the player or by somebody else, and it was automatically pollinated into your world. These vehicles were designed in the vehicle editor. That was a very kind of traditional organic city. This is a more modern industrial city. This is my capital. At this point in the game, I've actually unified the entire planet, and I'm ready to go to the next level, which is the space game. So I can open the Buy UFO catalog. Now, the program's been watching what I buy and build through the course of my gameplay, and building a model of my aesthetic, like Amazon recommendations. And now it's selecting content that other players have made that it thinks I would like stylistically. And it might be realistic, it might be cartoonish, it might be Disney, Pixar, Miyazaki, whatever. But this is what it thinks I would like. And so I can just select one of these things that another player's made. Or if I wanted to, I could go to the editor and design my own. And so now we're initiating the space age on our planet here. So we're getting blast off. At this point, I'm actually controlling the UFO, flying it around. Now, the UFO is a very powerful tool in this game. It's very mobile and has a huge number of upgrades that I can use it for later in the space game. I can browse some of the other cities that I built in the Civilization game. We have walking vehicles, these are crystalline buildings. We want a huge amount of diversity coming out of the editors that players can design. Now, one of the things I might want to use my UFO for is collecting things. I might want to start another ecosystem on another planet, and so I might want to bring some biological samples from my home planet. And I have an abduction ray I can use on my UFO to collect things off the surface. We had a little bug a couple weeks ago where we found that we could use the abduction beam to throw things. The fact is, if you throw them really hard, you found we can get them into orbit around the planet. They'll be in permanent orbit. Which is really cool. So this is the entire planet that we've been playing the entire game on up to this point. For the first time, we can kind of really go up high and get an overview of it. We have things like weather systems, lighting over here, a lot of details that we don't really have time to go into right now. This planet, in fact, has a really light ring system. But we can pull all the way back and get the entire planet at this point. And also the solar system. So this is our home star, our home planet. These are some other planets. This one's barren, I can tell by the scan. This one actually has life on it, primitive life, that we can fly over there to investigate. Some of the planets in this game are very realistic, but other ones are a bit more fanciful and creative. This one actually is more on the creative side. Eventually you'll be able to create entire planets with UFO tools that you can learn and buy. This one was actually generated by the computer, so the computer can generate some fairly elaborate ones as well. We might want to come down to the surface of this planet and investigate the local wildlife, and maybe even try dropping some of our creatures and see how well they survive on the surface here. So I'm going to come down to the surface of this planet and maybe drop one of those creatures that I picked up. They get a little stunned when they land. Okay, so that didn't go too well. I can scan these things in my database. We keep a running database of all the content that you encounter in the game, and it's something we call a Sporepedia. And the metaphor for that is trading cards. So every piece of content has a trading card automatically made for it. This is my home star with its stats. It's hyperlinked to the planets around it. This is my home planet. This is the planet we're on with its stats. It's hyperlinked to all the creatures I've discovered on this planet so far. And they have stats as well. In fact, we're going to be designing card games based around this. So I can print these cards out and actually play a card game with it. And use the in-game editors to design custom cards and custom decks. It also keeps track of the creator. So this is the person that created that piece of content. She might be a friend of mine or whatever, but I can bookmark her and have my friend's content automatically populate my universe. Also, I'll get reports back on how my content is going from the star out to interstellar space. Okay, this is several parsecs across region of interstellar space. We have several thousand stars here. Not just stars, but things like black holes, planetary nebula, emissive nebula. All the things you might see in Hubble space images are in here. You can visit them. They have interactions you can do with them. We're going to fly to a nearby star. One of the things we want to do is look for worlds to colonize. If we can build colonies, we can start earning economic output from those colonies. So I want to look for kind of good real estate here. This planet is probably not too great. It's too close to that star. It's very hot. This is more realistic than the last one. In fact, this planet is very much like the early Earth was about 4 billion years ago. Kind of a hot molten rock. But we'll investigate it anyway. Even on barren worlds like this, occasionally I might discover things. And these are things that I can pick up. These are like rares in an online game. And they might be cool tools for my UFO. It might be a cloaking device, it might be a weapon, or maybe some cool trade items. I might even though this world is not terraformed yet, decide to build a colony that will help me later terraform the planet. This is very expensive to do, but might have some strategic benefit. For right now, let's pull away from this planet. This is procedurally generated, so procedurally we can generate a huge variety of things as well. Let's go over to this planet, which in fact isn't really even a planet, but it's a moon around this gas giant here. Now, this was actually created by another player, I can tell from the scan. It's got intelligent life. And the computer's controlling it, though, as an NPC. So if I zoom into this, the computer's now controlling a copy of somebody else's world. But how they played the world, if they played it aggressively, peacefully, militarily, religiously, the computer observed that, and basically that programmed their personality. So even the computer is going to still basically make them behave that way in my world as an NPC. So this is kind of a first contact scenario. We're going to zip up and go and meet these guys. We don't have any idea what they're like at this point. They don't wear like I do. So we might try impressing them with maybe some fireworks to begin with. Now the relationships in this game can go a lot of different directions. We might end up being economic trading partners, or we might end up forming an alliance or a federation together over time. In this case, they were sufficiently impressed that they decided to worship me as a god. So some of the primitive civilizations, you can actually start up play a whole worship game. Now, even on a wild planet, I could drop a monolith and make a particular species intelligent and come back and see what their civilization was like. So I might pick up one of these guys to bring with me. My Dutch array. Okay, they clearly didn't like that. It activated their planetary defenses. The particle beam weapons can only shoot so far, but the missiles have a longer range. I'm going to pull out my weapons here. The first thing I want to do is take out their defenses. There's some real damage to the boat. One left. Now I've taken out their defenses, taken a bit of damage, but at this point they're basically defenseless. So if I really want to be mean, I can go in with my laser tool. We've actually found the terraforming tools to be very effective as well. I could drop some ice comets and basically make the whole planet an ocean planet. There's no evidence left. But that was probably a bad idea. So things like this have repercussions in the game. I don't know how powerful this race actually is. Okay, so they're clearly upset. You try apologizing. An apology might go a long way. We have missions that occur at the space.